In a small town in a certain country, this mother bear was foraging with her cubs. They found no food. With no other choice, the mother bear ventured into the human city, hoping to find food for her cubs. She was eventually discovered by humans. The mother bear let out an angry roar, but she was ultimately shot with a tranquilizer gun, lying on the ground, unable to move. Just like that, the mother bear was sent to the frigid Arctic by humans, forced to be separated from her child. She could only lie on the ground and howl helplessly. On the other hand, the cub was sent to a dog shelter by humans. It was fraught with danger. Dozens of vicious dogs were eyeing him hungrily. Luckily, he met a kind boy who took him home. Every day, besides feeding him delicious food, he also played with him, and the bear cub was not shy at all, boldly hugging the boy's leg. When night came, without his mother's company, the baby bear started to get restless. His noisy fussing woke the boy's mother. Seeing the baby bear had made a mess of the room, she was furious. She told her son to take him to the shelter. The next day, the boy brought the baby bear to a guide, asking him to take the cub to the Arctic to reunite it with its mother. The man flatly refused the boy, saying that summer was approaching and the ice was beginning to melt. Going to the Arctic now would be a suicide mission. The boy, dejected, could only ride his snowmobile alone, going to the Arctic to find the mother bear. For someone without any experience, how dangerous it is to go to the Arctic. And so, the boy runs across the ice with the bear cub, unaware that the surrounding ice is already melting, becoming a small river flowing into the sea. Meanwhile, the guide discovered the boy was missing. Feeling compassion, he began packing his equipment. He got on his snowmobile and chased after the boy. As the temperature gradually rose, the ice began to slowly sink. Most of the ice had already begun to crack. By the time the boy noticed, it was too late. He fell directly into the icy lake. It was only the support of my backpack that kept me from sinking to the bottom. Seeing this, Baby Bear immediately ran to the boy's side. He bit the boy's sleeve and pulled him up. He successfully pulled him ashore. By this time, the boy was shivering from the cold. Clearly, his head and face were already covered in ice. The boy took off his soaked jacket. He hugged Baby Bear to keep each other warm. But in this environment of minus tens of degrees, it simply won't solve the problem. But just then, the bear cub seemed to hear something, ran to the rock and started to call out. It turned out that the guide had arrived. Looking in the direction of the sound, the man saw the boy who was almost frozen stiff. Look at this boy without any experience, escorting a baby bear to the Arctic. He accidentally fell into an icy lake along the way. When he got up, his whole body was already starting to freeze. If he does not find a fire source to warm himself up soon, the boy will soon freeze to death in this icy Arctic. Luckily, the baby bear heard the sound of a snowmobile and cried for help. This attracted the guide's attention. The man came over and reminded him not to fall asleep. He then lifted the boy onto the snowmobile. He wrapped the boy tightly in a blanket to keep him warm. The bear cub was also afraid the boy would fall asleep, so it kept licking the boy's face. But this was only a temporary solution. They needed to find the nearest camp as quickly as possible. Only boys can be saved. Luckily, the guide is very familiar with this area. He quickly found a campsite. They immediately started to rescue the boy, and the baby bear waited patiently beside the boy. Finally, with the help of two beautiful women, the boy finally woke up. Seeing this, I want to try that warming method too. A weight lifted from the guide's heart. He went to the bear cub and played with it. Before long, the boy had recovered his strength. The guide, taking the boy, prepared to take them home. On the way, the guide gave the boy a political lesson and told him to cherish life, because life is only once. Suddenly, several gunshots rang out. The guide picked up his binoculars to take a look. It turned out to be a group of poachers. They were brutally killing the few remaining polar bears. The poachers warned them not to interfere. Unfortunately, the poachers had guns. The guide could only lead them to continue on their way, but they had not gone far when a blizzard struck. They had to stop. They used their sleds to build a makeshift shelter. Worse still, after the blizzard, the temperature would plummet. They needed to stockpile food. Only then will we have the energy to withstand the cold. Then the blizzard lifted the tent right off the ground. The guide, in an attempt to save the only tent, was ultimately blown away by the blizzard. The boy stood there, not knowing what to do. Luckily, Baby Bear found a cave. He ran to the boy and signaled him to follow. Finally, they reached the cave. They safely escaped the blizzard. After the blizzard passed, the boy climbed out of the cave. He was astonished by what he saw. He was standing on a floating ice floe. The boy waved his arms and shouted loudly for the guide to rescue them, but the guide was helpless at that moment. He could only ride a snowmobile to get help. The helpless boy could only sit on the ice, waiting for the guide to return. His food was also running low. Worse still, the floes were beginning to melt. Meanwhile, the guide rushed to town as fast as he could. He told the local rescue team about the boy's situation. Soon they sent a helicopter for rescue. But they did not have exact coordinates. It was difficult for the rescue team to find the boy. The broken ice was dazzling. At this time, the boy also heard the sound of the rescue helicopter, so he climbed out of the cave and shouted for help. But the helicopter had already gone. He watched helplessly as the plane disappeared from sight. The boy could only prepare the signal flare and wait for the next rescue attempt. Fortunately, the ice floe eventually drifted to the shore. The boy and the bear cub were finally safe. To avoid freezing to death, he had to continue on foot with the bear cub. But they had run out of food, and Mama Bear was still nowhere to be found. How will they survive in the Arctic? This boy, to help the baby bear find its mother, has been trekking across the Arctic for days, but he has not given up. He endures his hunger and continues onward with the baby bear. Luckily, he discovers some eggs on the rocks. He does not know what kind. Without a second thought, the boy eats them. Hunger did not allow him to think too much. Then he found another water source to replenish his energy. Afterwards, he continued searching for the mother bear with the cub, but in such harsh conditions, his body was greatly depleted. Soon, the boy's strength gave out. He finally collapsed in the heavy snow. At this moment, he took a flare gun from his pocket. He used his last bit of strength to fire a shot into the sky. Luckily, the boy was eventually rescued. When he woke up, he was in bed and learned from the man that they were going to send the bear cub to the zoo for people to see, so that he could be reunited with his mother. The boy secretly found the bear cub and helped him remove his chains. He secretly took him and ran out of the camp. The boy took the baby bear to where he had fainted. He found an old boat. Then he picked up a piece of cloth and made a sail. When everything was ready, the boy set off again with the baby bear to find his mother. Because the boy knew he was so close to the mother bear, he did not want to give up. Suddenly, the boat started taking on water. The situation was critical, but the cub was still playing on the boat, unconcerned. Meanwhile, the mother bear, not far away, I seemed to smell a child, but the little boat lost its balance. The boy struggled to keep his balance. I must get the baby bear to its mother. And so, through the boy's continued efforts, the little boat finally reached the shore. As soon as they landed, the baby bear smelled its mother. It ran towards its mother without looking back. The boy finally succeeded. Suddenly, the baby bear stopped. He seemed to have forgotten something. So he returned to the boy. He circled his feet. He kept making noises. He seemed to be saying a final goodbye to the boy. The boy fought back tears. Tell him to hurry and find his mother. And tell him to stay here quietly from now on. This is your best safe haven. At this time, Mama Bear also saw her child, excitedly walking towards the child.
There's your mama. Come on, go get her. There she is. Come on, that's her, come on. Come on. Go get her. Goodbye, Busy.
In the end of the story, Mama Bear was finally reunited with her child, and the boy also went home with his mother. This film tells us that the lives of small animals are also very important. We must not harm or hunt them. We should protect nature, protect these small animals, because they are humanity's best friends. Perhaps the Arctic is now affected by high temperatures. The glaciers are gradually melting. Polar bears' habitat is shrinking, and their food is severely scarce. They are forced to come to human settlements, taking desperate risks just to get a full meal.